During the press conference, state and local officials were making a case that this was somewhat unpredictable, that none of their weather forecasts called for the amount of rain and flooding that we're seeing. The Guadalupe River rising about 26 feet in less than an hour. According to Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, state emergency operations had briefings on Thursday. So before any of this happened about potential severe weather in the area, they say the National Weather Service only called for about 3 to 6 inches of rain, but that was enough where state officials say they had some emergency response teams on standby, and they were immediately activated once the flooding took place, specifically swift water rescue teams. They arrived at noon yesterday. We're just learning about that now during the press conference. And to explain how quickly the flooding happened, officials say one of the first responder vehicles was washed away as the flooding hit. State officials saying even first responders were caught off guard.
We'll stop at nothing to ensure that every asset and person and plane and whatever is needed is going to be involved in the process of rescuing every last person and ensure everybody involved in this is going to be fully accounted for.
But I'd also ask, please pray for our community. This is a hard day, and there will be hard days to come. Pray for us. We covet your prayers. Thank you.
The river rising to levels not seen in decades, according to the National Weather Service, rising from 7 to 29 feet in just 4 hours, reaching the second highest level on record.
This happened very quickly over a very short amount of time that could not be predicted.
Campers forced to evacuate from sites along the rising riverbank, including at the all-girls summer camp, Camp Mystic.
This used to be a campground. These are all campsites. You can see the pipes for the RV sewage. It's all full too. All those RVs are downriver, stuck on trees like that one.
Look, the images there are obviously telling of just this flooding that came at night, caught many people off guard, according to the officials there. Many saying this was something they really weren't prepared for. You mentioned there in the open that there are a number of camps that are taking place right now, a number of children's camps, and this is obviously a holiday weekend, so there was definitely a lot of people that are being notified right now about their loved ones. They mentioned in that press briefing a little earlier that every single asset available is out right now, assisting with these water rescues and searches for people.
The Guadalupe River to nearly 8 meters higher than normal. The catastrophic flash flood struck at 4 in the morning. Still in their beds, residents were caught off guard.
We didn't know this flood was coming. Rest assured, no one knew this kind of flood was coming. We have floods all the time. This is the most dangerous river valley in the United States. And we deal with floods on a regular basis. When it rains, we get water. We had no reason to believe that this was going to be anything like what's happened here. None whatsoever.
Rescue teams with boats, rescue divers, and helicopters scrambled to save people trapped by high water. The National Weather Service declared the flooding life-threatening and advised residents to move to higher ground. Flash floods, which occur when the ground is unable to absorb torrential rainfall, are not unusual in the Texas Hill Country. But this was unprecedented. Several communities were overwhelmed.
This is not like a hurricane where you're planning weeks in advance. You know, it hit hard, and things like this happen in a very strategic, very isolated area. And when those two things converged, you had what happened today. So this happened within less than a 2-hour span, very, very quickly.
This video, taken Friday morning, showing the nearby Guadalupe River overflowing and moving very fast. Over 500 people are out searching for missing people in Kerr County, Texas. Among the missing, a group of young campers.
I want all of you to know we will do everything humanly possible 24/7, looking at every tree, turning over every rock, whatever it takes.
In San Angelo, Texas, heavy flooding partially submerged vehicles, houses, and the road. One person in that town clung to a utility pole while awaiting rescue. As rescue efforts are still underway across Texas, officials say they expect more fatalities to be reported.
Yeah, Robbie, we've moved over to
get a view of the other RV park. And I just want to show it to you guys because on July 3rd and the morning of July 4th, this empty field behind me was full of more than 50 RVs and families and people inside of them. And then that's when that wall of water, more than 25 feet, came through here and wiped it all away. And that's where it's been washing up against trees like this one. You can see the metal from these RV frames, from these mobile home frames. They are strewn about this entire river and creekway, and they are just everywhere. It's a completely destructive scene, and it's honestly hard to look at, especially when you think about the fact that that field behind me was full of more than 50 RVs and campers. Now, this water, this flooding right here, that is not the Guadalupe River. That is all the way on the other side of it. So floodwaters are still receding, and you know, the National Weather Service data showed us that the Guadalupe River rose more than 20 feet in just under an hour and a half on the morning of July 4th.
Residents have been warned to brace for more flooding as more showers and thunderstorms are forecast for the area.
And we've got John Downey on the line now. He's a news anchor at KTRH Radio in Houston, Texas. John, good to have you with us. Let's start with the most urgent question, namely, what's the latest on the missing girls from Camp Mystic?
Well, they're still missing, and probably the most frightening statistic about that is that that Camp Mystic, which has become so suddenly famous now, had 700 children in it. So there were 700 girls in the camp. It looks as though about 20 of them, or 20 to 24, have reported to be missing, and those are the ones that are the most concerned. There are other camps in the area, but none of that were not nearly as affected by the flooding as that particular camp.
And how are the families, the friends there at the camp? How are they coping as they wait for the news?
Well, one of the things that that has been set up in the area, and so far I only know of 2 locations, but there has been a Walmart and also a nearby elementary school designated as what they're calling a reunification center, and it's being broadcast that if you know somebody that you can't find that is missing, you are directed to those locations because that's where everyone is gathering to try to meet up with relatives, and that's those are the first 2 locations that the authorities have set up to try to unify people that are missing friends or relatives.
Now, in terms of trying to find those missing persons, the girls, do we know anything about what triggered the flash flood so suddenly overnight?
Not to this extent. You know, I was listening to your report over the phone before I came on, and it is true. There is a propensity for these kinds of floods in this area, but not this severe and not on this scale. There's no indication of why this one was so much worse, because the rise in the river was just incredibly fast, more than you could even imagine.